it's great to see you.
Hey, it's good to be back.
Did you take shop class?
Thought you were going to say, did you take a shower? Yes, I did.
Well, I was going to
Yes
ask
to
you
both.
that. Well, I held back from asking that question. I wanted to ask that question, but I refrained.
It's a two-part question.
And obviously,
did you take shop class? Did you take a shower this morning?
Did you build a shower in shop class?
Did you?
Because
Did you ever take a shower in shop class?
could you build another one? No. But if you heard shower, there's something subconscious in your mind then, because did you take shop class? Did you take a shower? So
Yeah, I know.
But you appear very clean today.
I did just take a shower before I came over.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yep.
I always do. It's great to hang out
My
with Bill.
pre-podcast ritual. I go home, I caffeinate, and I take a shower. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to take a shower, caffeinate, and then Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah, well, but that's playing the whole time. It's looping.
It's looping.
Yes.
It's got to loop. Get you in the zone.
Yep.
But did you ever take shop class?
I did. Let me try to think here. 4 or 5 years of it, yeah.
Up in Cadillac.
That was all my senior year.
You're
kidding.
Well, a lot of people go to tech school, the tech center here.
We had tech schools last 2 years of high school.
Okay.
But throughout high school, I took shop class. And even during the tech schools, like my senior year was super easy. I started off in the college prep setup in high school, where I was like 2 years ahead in math, and I was setting myself up to like save some money in college, and then I just burned out. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna go to tech school my senior year and take band and shop when I get back. That's it.
That's it. I'm through. That's cool. That's I took a small engine repair class.
That's cool.
Yeah, at Brazelwood High School.
See, that could be super useful because like I am always like I hire somebody to mow my lawn right now because my rider died 2 years ago, so I sold that, and then my push mower has been dead. Like my brother-in-law took it to get it fixed. That dude didn't fix it, so it just sits in my garage.
Wow. Yeah. I'm not most people who know me that are listening to the podcast now, they're probably laughing that I would choose that course. I am not a gearhead. I'm not that kind of, I just don't enjoy that.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I've got a new weed eater I got for Father's Day that's run on a battery.
I bought one of those 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it didn't come with a battery, so I sent it back. Thanks, Home Depot. Yeah.
Now, was it supposed to come with a battery?
Yeah, it was supposed to come with a couple of things, and it was including a battery. It's a weed eater and blower.
Yeah.
Neither of them. Yeah, no battery.
Oh, that's probably the same combo I got. Well, it doesn't have any oil or fuel in it, so I like it.
Yeah, mine came with oil and fuel. I'm just kidding.
But no battery. Some kind of filter. I don't know what this is. No, but I took the small engine repair class, and it's funny because our teacher, Mr. Mayer, had 2 hooks for hands.
So many questions.
So many. And,
At least it wasn't like a hook on one hand and a fake hand on another.
Yeah, like Chubbs.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Happy Gilmore.
You know what's so funny is sometimes I pretend I'm Chubbs to my wife, and I have my hand kind of like that, and it won't move, and I go to move her hair back, and she just starts dying laughing. She's like, "Stop it! You're the gator that got Chubbs' hand." No.
It's all in the hips.
And what's so funny is that what makes that guy so funny is you could totally see his arm behind the hand.
I know.
That's what makes it so funny.
That was such a good movie.
It's like they kind of try to hide it, but not really. Nah, just put your arm back in the sweater.
Why is that one arm so much longer than the other?
No, but Mr. Mayer had 2 hooks for hands, and he was the auto shop teacher. So being a freshman in high school, you're just a dumb kid, and you don't know how to handle those situations. Mm-hmm. So, it would have been cool if he would have just been like, hey, this is what happened to me. The questions are over. Everybody knows. But because he didn't address it.
Were people scared of him?
The rumors kind of... Not really. He's a nice guy, but he was really to himself. He's really quiet. I mean, he's probably dealing with a lot. He lost both his hands,
Was he married?
I don't know. He didn't have a... Right? It's awful. I'm sorry. It's not like he could wear a wedding ring, and he was really to himself. So, as we were kids in ninth grade, we're stupid, and he doesn't address the situation. So we begin to make up stories in our head, like what happened to his hands. My theory that I heard that I kind of think is true was he had some kind of ladder and it hit an electrical. He was holding the ladder and it hit some kind of electrical outlet or something and like burnt his hands off or something.
I don't know. I don't know if that's possible. That would kill you.
Question.
Because it would cross your heart.
True.
And
well,
although I don't know.
Here's if you went to Brazos Wood High School and had Mr. Mayer, or someone who had Mr. Mayer, and you know what happened,
they know the story.
I would have you on the podcast to explain to us what happened to Mr. Mayer's hands.
I almost picture like a farm accident.
True.
I've known people to get an arm cut off in like a baler.
Right. Wood chipper.
Yeah.
I worked in the tree business for several years, and that happens. People get sucked into a chipper, and dude, like you don't want that to happen.
No. You got to respect the machinery.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what happened to Mr. Mayer. But I never took wood shop though.
Yeah.
I wish I would have, because I think I'd been like.
I liked it because I could swear in that class.
Really?
The teacher was totally relaxed. He'd swear at you. What? And you could just join right in.
Yeah, smoke cigs, drink a beer.
No, you couldn't.
40 ounce of malt liquor, and we just sit around and drop F-bombs, swear, and make stuff out of wood. It's kind of like trout
camp.
Like a man. It's kind of like trout camp, but in high school. No, but did you make anything cool? I mean, you made an ice box?
I made an ice box. I made a couple of tables, like end tables. I think first year's like a nightstand. Yeah.
Okay. Gotta have that's like your first thing is a nightstand.
Yeah, everybody's got to make a nightstand first year. All right. If you liked it, now sign up for a second year,
Uh-huh. That's pretty sweet.
I spent like 2 years on those tables because they had to spin all the legs in a lathe, make sure they're all matching.
Well, Drew Nelson has that wood shop. We did his interview in that, and that was pretty sweet.
Yeah, it was.
The smell of the wood, the creativity. I mean, it's awesome. And that was pretty sweet to see some of the things that are coming out of his studio and his shop. But he's an artist too. There's a level of art to that as well.
Versus just following a design. Yeah.
Right.
If you're making this up as you go, like I picture Drew doing that. Like he sees it in his head, and he makes it out of what he sees in his head.
Right. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Well, this week we have Dave Zielinski. He is a wood boat designer. He makes drift boats.
Interesting.
Yeah, pretty sweet. And he made a movie recently that. He designed this drift boat, and he wanted to launch it the night of the cicada hatch. And
that's pretty sweet.
The cicadas come out once every 17 years. So, I mean, what other sport has that? Like, you don't hear hunters saying, this corn only grows once every 17 years, and we're going to go on the giant buck hunt on this night, and I made this gun out of my own 2 hands with wood.
That's true. I thought cicadas. Is it everywhere they can only come out 17 years or every 17 years? Or
but they're going waves. So it may be like every 2 or 3 years.
There'll be a couple of small ones here and there, but then all of a sudden 1 year it'll just be a huge wave.
Yeah, he explains it. He explains it on the podcast better than I can.
Oh, that's
I'm not a biologist.
I'm looking forward to this.
Bugs, wood shop,
yep.
Small engines, those things are just...
Hooks.
I want to tell an embarrassing story.
Oh, boy.
Super big thanks to Brian Kosminski. He invited me and Drew Nelson to go fly fishing. I think I told you about this. We fished the brown drake. So I'm not very comfortable on a drift boat because I haven't really been on drift boats very often.
Yeah.
Okay, let's be honest. So we're in the river, and Kaz is like, because we're talking to drift boats, that's why I'm bringing this up.
Yeah.
Kaz is like, hey, can you row for a minute? I'm like, I can, but I'm going to warn you ahead of time that this is probably not going to go well.
We're going to hit something.
He's like, nah, you're fine. You're fine. You can do it. And Drew's like, come on, man, you can go. Yeah, didn't work out very well.
Did you hit something?
I just got out of control. Ended up on the other side of the river in a tree.
Dead ahead.
They're like, yeah, exactly. I'm the king of the world. No, but they were super gracious. But I would like to spend some more time on a drift boat. I've thought about buying them, and he actually sells plans online on how to build them.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah, that would be really sweet. So this week, like I said, we have his name of his company is Down Home Boatworks. It's Dave Zielinski, so downhomeboatworks.com. So welcome to the podcast. Let's light the fire. Today on the Remote No Pressure podcast, I'm very excited to have Dave Zielinski with us. Thank you very much for joining us, Dave.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing amazing. And you know what? You've been following our Instagram for a while. I remember when you first started following us, I reached out to you and said, hey, thank you so much, for following us and whatnot. And you had some morel mushrooms on your feed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I'm all about the wild mushrooms. It's pretty sweet. But you had sent me a video that you guys did, woodworking, and it's such an art, and it's not just woodworking, but you make drift boats. How in the world did you decide I want to make a drift boat? Yeah,
that goes back to like 1999, I think. Yeah, 1999. And I was living in southwestern Pennsylvania, and fly fishing for many years, and took a few trips out west, and been around and been in and seen some drift boats, and it was just like, man, I could really use one of those back home. That would unlock a lot of my local rivers and things. And then I started looking around at used boats, and the typical glass boats that you see around, or aluminum boats, and looking at the prices at the time, kind of just newly married and a kid, and finances were tight. It was, that's not going to happen. There's not going to be a drift boat purchase. But my family, my dad and my grandfather, both woodworkers, and I can remember from a very young age being around tools and around wood, and built a lot of things in my life. And I looked at them and thought, you know what, you could build one of those. And when I first saw a wooden drift boat in the West, I was like, yeah, that's what I want. But I thought it was unattainable. Met a guy, Roger Fletcher, who's out in Oregon, and he sold me my first set of plans, which was an original 16-footer design from the mid-1940s. And he had one of the original boats, and he redrew the lines, and he was selling them under River's Touch. And Roger and I became really good friends. I got the plans and bought a pile of wood, and thought, yeah, this is no big deal. I can build a boat. So that summer, I think it was summer '99, built a drift boat and launched it in the spring of 2000. Yeah, and that was that. And from then, all my fishing buddies, many of them who were in the video, all were like, yeah, I need a drift boat. So it became the start of me making boats for myself, selling my old ones to my buddies at a cost just to get into a new one. And, we all ended up outfitted with boats. So that's kind of how it all started.
That's pretty amazing. Now, did you do woodworking before this, or was this a new endeavor altogether for you?
Oh, no, absolutely. I did a lot of woodworking before this. My dad had a lot of tools, and I inherited a lot of his tools. And I built all the stuff, around the house, and done home repairs for years and things like that. So I knew my way, somewhat around a toolbox, but never built a boat before or anything. And that was a little bit of excitement, because I really loved woodworking and still do, and really loved fly fishing. So it brought the two pieces of that together, and it was great.
There's a lot of art to it. I mean, it's very artistic, and I tell my wife this too. A lot of the carpenters and people who build these houses and there's a lot of art to that,
Sure.
Whereas it's not just, you're following a plan and everything, but there is an artistic ability in order to see something on a piece of paper and make it a reality,
Yeah, for sure.
So I can really appreciate what you're doing. And for some reason, art and fly fishing really go hand in hand very well together. I mean, we did a series musicians on the fly, where artists come in who are fly anglers, but they're also musicians, and it's very common to see awesome like authors as well. With some of the best small or short stories are fly anglers that write them.
Right.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think art and fly fishing go so well together?
Yeah, that's a crazy one because it's definitely a creativity side of things. I mean, it's fly fishing, and I don't know how it is now. I mean, I've been doing it a long time. I actually probably been fly fishing more years, more than half of the years I've been alive now. And it started with tying flies. So there's that creative element, and that's artistic, as you know. Myself also, I'm a musician as well. So it's like the whole creative side. I don't know. It fills a need. It fills a void. It's maybe it's a way of thinking, and fly fishing it can get, pretty artful to watch. And, there's some romance about it, watching a really good caster, and wanting to emulate that or whatnot. And I think it's all connected.
Speaking of art and romanticizing fly fishing, because I know some people who may not fly fish are like, oh, you guys are so, artsy or whatever. I don't know how to say it. We had John Osborne. He's an author. He was on the podcast, and he insists on fly fishing with like the bamboo rods and smokes a pipe, and everything is like the old school way. He doesn't like adopt the new ways. He's totally old school, and he loves that. And I don't see a lot of spinning gear guys with like, Zebcos from the 60s, and they're like, I insist on only fishing this. You know what I mean? So,
I know exactly. I've been accused of it. I'm known as a dry fly snob, I think.
Oh, really?
In some circles. Oh, I appreciate all kinds of fishing, but absolutely, there's that element to it all. And I think a lot of us maybe, I don't want to date myself or whatever, but like you got into fly fishing that first time you saw a fish rise to a fly, and you're like, oh man.
Yeah.
Or you saw or witnessed your first real hatch, and you're like, oh man, that's the only way to catch fish. And it's addictive. And it's funny because it definitely, than other forms of fishing, has this romantic air around it, and this connection, maybe a little bit stronger connection to tradition. But that doesn't mean that fly fishing isn't innovative either, because you look at the flies that people come up with, daily. I see them on Instagram, and I'm like, man, why didn't I think of that? And a different way, and it's really cool. It's really cool. It's really creative, and that's a draw for me. Absolutely.
Yeah, new materials, there's new patterns, it's just crazy what all has come out, in the past 5 to 10 years. Even the types of species that we target, 10, 15 years ago, carp wasn't a thing, and now it's like everyone wants to catch a carp, and it's just crazy to see that change.
Yeah, it definitely is. There's definitely trout snob and all that kind of talk and all this, and if it eats a fly, or you can trick it on a fly, just why not fish for it all? But it's definitely innovative. There's fish I see, in pictures. I don't even know where they're from, and catching them on flies.
Right.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I fish with dry. I love fishing with dries, and then I also love I like streamers or like woolly buggers and things like that because they're so productive and they're a lot of fun too.
Sure.
But there's something about seeing a fish rise. And like you said, I remember one time because I work in sales, so I'm on the road a lot, and I always have my gear with me. And I remember pulling over on the Muskegon River. This has been, I think it was last summer, and there was no one on the river. It was like a Tuesday at like 11 a.m., And I get out there, and there's this crazy hatch going on, and I was the only person on the river. And then like to the left, this big bald eagle flies down. I'm like, what in the and I started catching all these. There were really small fish. They weren't very big trout, but I caught 6 or 7 trout, and I'm like, wow, this is one of the coolest experiences I've ever had in my life. You don't forget those days. But speaking of romanticizing things and the artsy side of things. you have the cicada hatch, and you're in Western PA, right?
Absolutely, yes.
So you have the cicada hatch, and then, according to the film, you and your buddies decided to align the build of this boat to the hatch of the cicadas. Am I correct?
Yeah. So you want me to tell you the evolution of the idea there?
Absolutely, yes.
All right. So it's funny because it's funny how things like come together and connect. So we talked about the wooden boat thing with me, and then we mentioned cicadas. Well, I fished cicada emergences twice before 2016. And both of those emergences were pretty far apart. One was in 2008, and then I forget when the other one was. It might have been 2002 or even earlier than that. But you do not forget the fishing and how amazing and epic it is. And there's nothing, I haven't witnessed any other fishing that I can define as epic other than fishing a cicada emergence. So it was probably 2015, and I, being a nut for cicadas and studying them and understanding the life cycle and everything else about it, and really pining over the maps and figuring out, like, you know what, I think it's going to go off on the Youghiogheny in 2016. And so I kind of rallied up the guys and said, we can't miss this. You guys remember 2008. You remember the previous emergence to that and how epic that was. And it's going to be on the Yough, and the Yough's a great river, really productive, really big fish, lots of fish, and some really beautiful scenery and boats. And at the same time, my wife's cousin is married to a guy. His name is Wade James. And Wade James is a videographer and a photographer. And we connected, through the family stuff. And we started hanging out together, doing a little bit of archery hunting together. And he made some really amazing videos for hunting. I said to him, hey, Wade, there's a cicada emergence going to happen. And I think it would be really cool if we made a film around it. And he was all in. He's like, yeah, absolutely. Just tell me when. We'll plan it. We'll hopefully we can time it and hit it right. And I said, here's the other thing is, like, I'm building a boat, and I'm building a boat. Let's get some of that boat documented into this film, and then let's take two wooden boats down and center it around these boats, the river, and the fishing and the bugs. So the idea came like that. And, we scouted it. We looked for the sections of river where there's been a lot of bugs emerging, and the whole life cycle of the cicada, I could probably talk to you for hours on. It's one of the most amazing things. And the males sing, and it's ear piercing screaming. And you find the signs, you find the signs on the ground where the bugs emerge. You find their shucks where they emerged. And then you listen, use your ears. So it's like sight and sound and really paying attention to the factors in the environment on where they're going to be. And lo and behold, we found where the bugs were. And it just so happened to be on, like, some of the greatest sections of the Youghiogheny River. And it was a wet year, just like it's been. And we absolutely, you couldn't have timed it better, because we filmed 3 days, and the day before we started, the river was muddy. We woke up in the morning of the day of the first float, and the river was clear. And it was like, holy cow. So the river was clear, and we floated and filmed 2 days. The third day, we filmed half the day. On our drive home, sky unleashed. River was blown for a week. So we got the only 3 days that were totally fishable, and we caught it on film. So it was like the craziest thing, and like pure luck. And and Wade is a master at editing, and you watch the film. I mean, I can't believe what we were part of. It was just really great, and it turned out really, really, really proud of it. Really happy with it. had a lot of elements in there.
Yeah, it did. It was great. It was very well made. I mean, it could be on the fly fishing film tour. It was that good. It was the quality and the story was good. It wasn't just guys fishing with some heavy metal music in the background. It was, there was some story to it also. So that was very good. Have you guys gotten a lot of good feedback on the film?
Yeah, it's funny though. It comes and goes in spurts, and it's like out of the blue, you'll hear from somebody like, "Hey, I saw this video, and holy cow, I made the connection. It's you and your guys, and that was amazing." And then, you don't hear anything for a while, and, you see the views and, us, it was like, we did it. We really did it. We didn't do it for anybody else. Like, we did it for ourselves. It was like, it would be cool to make this. And, we've all seen a million fly fishing videos. Actually, I'll say this about Wade. Wade hasn't. He has refused to watch fly fishing films. He's done a lot of hunting stuff, and he didn't watch any fly fishing films. And I don't know about today, but he went off and made ours. And like, I think that really was cool and unique, because he wasn't biased by, this is how a fly fishing film is supposed to be made or whatever. And, but it was really cool like that. But yeah, the response was good. I mean, it's been out for 2 years almost now, and it comes and goes. But it's funny. We just had a cicada emergence this year, so that was brood V or brood 5. Somebody's shooting fireworks outside here. This year was brood 8. So we had brood 8 emerge kind of the end of May and into June this year, right where I live. So like right outside my house, I had billions and billions of cicadas.
How do you know what brood it is? I mean, as far like I know it's every 17 years, but you're saying, you were in 08 and, these different years. I mean, can you tell us a little bit about that process on cicadas?
Yeah. No, I'm not a scientist on it, but I'm definitely learning more and more every time. And Penn State University does, they do a lot. They have probably the most information on periodical cicadas. So yeah, the periodical cicadas, I think there's 4 broods of 13-year, and then there's like 11 broods of 17-year cicadas. And I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'm not a scientist, so I might have some of this wrong, but apparently there was one big brood of these bugs prehistorically, and then the glacial movements that created the Great Lakes separated all these broods and, separated that mass of bugs. And what happened was their emergences got shifted around, and they've become several distinct broods. So there's lots of information on the internet from Penn State, and there's some like cicada groups and cicada organizations that are probably crazier than I am about them, but and they track these broods. They know, and you can find maps where and what's going to happen. It's a really cool thing. I mean, it's just like, it's crazy with fly fishing though, because it's just like figuring out hatches almost. Like timing of hatches. We pay attention to water temperature when like a sulfur or a Hendrickson's going to emerge, but it's a time of year, right? So say a Hendrickson is end of April or May or something, depending on where you are, and it's a water temperature, and it's the right mix of conditions, and then you get the whole invertebrate shift and bugs emerge, and it happens. With the cicada, it's not a water-borne insect. It's it comes from the ground. So it's the same thing, though. We don't go sticking our thermometers in the ground looking for them, but probably we should, because there's a specific temperature that when the ground temperature at a certain depth gets to, they say 68 degrees or so, the bugs start to emerge. And then when they emerge in mass, and then all the emergence is done, they start singing, they start mating, then they start flying. And when they start flying, windy days knock them around, throw them into the water, and then you know what happens next. The fish are just looking for them.
A snack time.
Oh, more than snack.
It's a feast. T-bones. T-bone. Yeah.
Yeah.
You ever watch Seinfeld where George Costanza? He wants to be,
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm aging myself, but I loved that episode when he wants to go by T-Bone. But anyways, that's great. Now, question for you, and I don't know if you could answer this question. I live
Sure.
in Michigan. I live right next to a cornfield, and this time of year, especially at night, right before the sun sets, all of a sudden the lightning bugs will come out.
Mm-hmm.
Are those in the ground as well? And when the ground gets to a certain, is that the same concept with those?
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's Mother Nature's clock. It's the same thing with those. They're an insect that lives in the ground, and you get those humidity and warmth and the ground temperature at a certain point. And a lot of this stuff triggers around summer solstice, right? So think about that. Summer solstice is the longest day of the year. Mm-hmm. So on your way up to summer solstice, you're gaining minutes of daylight. If you're gaining minutes of daylight, you're gaining heating opportunities for the ground and the water and everything else. So, it's another factor to pay attention to there. But yeah, lightning bugs, same thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like with fly fishing. Here you are chasing this bug once, that comes out every 17 years. You build a boat to time it right so you can fish this cicada hatch. You don't hear deer hunters saying, well, this corn only grows once every 17 years and we can do the ultimate hunt with this specific corn. It's just such a unique sport and a unique approach to that.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, because it's with any of our hatches that we follow, aquatic insects, and especially these cicadas, I mean, the biomass is gigantic, but it's totally nature's way of survival of that species, right? It's overwhelm your predator. So billions upon billions of cicadas. I mean, there's numbers of that are quoted, there's over 1 billion cicadas per square acre in some cases, in some really heavy areas. I mean, That's amazing. And mayfly is no different, right? I mean, you sit in a hatch on the Ausable in the holy waters when the Hendricksons are really happening. There's billions upon billions of bugs, and the birds can't get them all. The fish can't get them all. Whatever else eats them can't get them all, and the species survives. So. But it's a bumper crop when cicadas happen. I mean, the wild turkeys, the animals, everything just knows they're here and feasting. And I think it's a Mother Nature cyclical thing as well. It's it's a bump in the cycle of things.
It really is crazy how it's all comes together.
Yeah.
And I fished the brown drake hatch with Brian Kosminski. He's the True North Trout fly fishing guide up north, and I fished the hex with him last year, and then I fished the brown drake this year. And he talks about there's certain flowers that come out, and when they come out, you know that it's time for the hex.
Yep.
And it's just crazy. To me, it's such a beautiful thing. It's like a symphony. It's all these things that are playing their parts and their roles, and then here we are just trying to catch a fish, and kind of circumvent the system and short circuit things that we can catch a fish. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we are. Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
But it's pretty amazing, So are you guys planning on making any more films, or is that pretty much it for you guys, or what's next?
I mean, I really wish we would have made film this year because I can't tell you how good it was. It was amazing. And it was just like your experience on the Muskegon. Nobody was fishing this year here. And I just can't figure it out. And I asked so many people, hey, I got an empty boat tonight. You want to go? And it was like, what's eating them? Oh, 30-pound carp. Any trout eating them? No. What do you mean? No. And, we're breaking 8 weights on these, on dry fly. It's crazy. But no, as far as films go, I don't know. Wade and I talk a lot, and actually, I shouldn't say that. We started a film, and we'll be getting more footage this year, but it's a hunting film. And I don't know if you hunt or not. I know a lot of people have different feelings on the thing, but I hunt traditional archery and have never actually hunted with a compound bow. And Wade actually never hunted with a traditional bow and only ever with a compound bow. So we started to film The Switch, and where I go full modern and he goes full traditional. So we were in the process of making that. We had some ideas about some, mountain trout fishing type things, but it's just so, how it is, raising a family and work, and we're largely weekend warriors, so it's really proud of what we did, and I really love having it, and once in a while going back and watching it and just being amazed in what we were able to witness and be a part of. And no right now plans, I don't think, but you never know.
Well, you guys did a great job. We'll be sure to share that up on our socials and some links to you guys, and link to your social media as well. And if people wanted to talk to you, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
I a couple channels. So my Instagram is Down Home Boatworks, and I actually, shameless plug, my side business is I sell wooden drift boat plans. And that's one way to get me is on a private message on Instagram, and the other way is through my website, downhomeboatworks.com. There's an email form there, and I get back to you. I check it every day and keep in touch with a lot of the folks who bought our plans, and pretty cool to see other folks doing the same thing. So.
That's really great. Well, cool. Well, we'll be sure to put that out there. And thank you, too. Kind of a last-minute thing. I guess this week wasn't able to make it, and I really appreciate you taking some time with us, Dave, and we really appreciate that.
Sure thing.
All right, have a great night.
Yeah, come on down and fish anytime.
Well, thank you guys so much for listening to the Remote No Pressure podcast. Please check us out on the Facebook.
On the Facebook? Are we on the Twitter?
In the sky. We are on the Twitter. We are on the Facebook. We are on the Instagram.
What about the YouTube?
The YouTube. Actually, we've launched a YouTube channel. We've got a whopping 9 subscribers right now.
Hey, we're building that. Just a month ago, we were at 1.
We were at 1, and it was me.
Yeah.
Now I got my mom and you, Bill, and then my brother. No, but it is a new channel for us, and way to go, Bill, launching that. It looks great. It looks amazing. So
it's coming together.
It is, and we're getting some velocity there.
Mm-hmm.
Check out. Check us out on our website. But also, I really want to talk about signing up for our mailing list, because we do have some certain coupons from vendors, some different things that are available to our subscribers.
Some cool articles you posted last week.
The articles that we talked about, the rattlesnake and whiskey and uranium.
Yep.
Our plutonium, whatever it was.
It was uranium, I think.
Was it?
I think. 1 rod of uranium. Yeah.
So
he's got one more than I do.
Yeah. You got it from the Russians. So be sure to check those things out, and we appreciate everything that you guys are doing. We also have our decal, our Bigfoot decal.
That is awesome.
Went awesome. And then also the writing contest. We only got a couple more weeks before
right.
that's due, and we got some awesome gifts from our sponsors from Deli Fresh Design and also Sand Hill Coffee that are giving out some cool stuff. Mm-hmm. So
get them in.
Yeah, you can email those to us, jefft@remotenopressure.com. And you got something else?
No.
Okay.
I was just agreeing.
All right, just agreeing.
Yeah.
And until next time, go fishing.